This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trends in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Judith Mancini today. It's a beautiful day here in California, and where we live, it's going to be about 108 today with the wind blowing, which makes you sneeze. So if I start sneezing in the middle of the show, please excuse me. But besides it being very toasty and warm here, all across the country, there is some just odd weather, flooding and tornadoes and hurricanes coming up this season and just terrible things. So we're praying for everyone across our nation. Remember where it is getting so very hot, even in places like Pittsburgh, which is totally surrounded by the Three Rivers, so you get a little moisture from that. But it is humid back there, and that makes the heat index go up. So please remember, even if that happens and you think, oh, my goodness, I'm going to go out and melt into a puddle with the humidity, I want you to remember to hydrate, because even in the humidity, you can become dehydrated and it's very dangerous. So we're praying for you, and I want you to take care of yourselves too, and we won't forget you. Today is a really important day. We have two things happening. One, SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, is going to announce some of their decisions and how they argued and negotiated with each other to come up with the determination of what these different cases are. I don't have any news on that right now, but you should tune into your local station so you can hear it. It's very important. It affects our Constitution and it affects your daily life. So tune into that and learn a little bit about your country, what's going on. And the other thing, I wanted to tell you some of the big decisions coming up. The immunity for presidents, former presidents, is coming up, which definitely will affect how President Trump is able to handle the rest of the cases against him. And then there is also one on abortion, which is very important. It's where, when, and why you can have an abortion or not have an abortion. So that will definitely be important in some people's lives, okay? Also, the scope of the January 6th charges are going to be announced, what they can do, if they can charge these people for peacefully protesting or not. So you want to listen to that. And there's a very confusing, to me, debate on where the homeless can camp, public camping. So that would be taking over a park or the lawns in front of public buildings or in the hallways of public buildings. So you might want to listen to that too. And then, of course, there is a social media regulation and free speech question that's coming up. And since we're on social media here, we're going to wonder about that too. So we'll be listening in on all of these things. Don't forget the big thing that is happening today, besides listening to me. The big thing happening today is the date between President Biden and former President Trump. Now, whether you are a Biden fan, I can't imagine why, or whether you're a Trump fan, of course I know why. You want to watch this. There will be questions from CNN and their two employees, contributors to CNN News, and we'll see how they lean one way or the other with their questions. There is no audience and there are mute buttons on the microphones. I don't think they have them handcuffed to the podium. So if one of them gets really upset, they still could walk away and punch somebody in the nose. Who knows? Who knows about the noses and what's going to happen on this debate? I quite frankly don't think it's going to be bombastic in any way. I think they will both act as gentlemen. I hope they do, because we really want to know what their new policies will be and how they will handle what's been going on in the past. Let's not get into any kind of stupid questions from these guys that are going to be the moderators. It's a little lopsided because the Democrats chose where, when, and who would moderate, who would televise it, and all of that for this debate. But it's not so strange because President Trump, former President Trump, agreed to it all. He just wants to get out there on the debate stage and peacefully and in a succinct manner say what his former policies and his new policies would be. So tune into that. The other thing I want to say about that debate is your children, your teenagers, when they're in high school, prep school, whatever you want to call it, they should join the debate team or the debate club. This is a very civilized way to discuss very important questions. And yes, they teach you the rules of debate, the norm for how long you may speak to answer a question, how long the question can be, how they choose the questions, and all of that. So it's very important. What is also very important is that your teens, particularly of your children, learn about the democracy in our country. The democracy and how to debate, how to be civil to each other, and what they can do to form their opinions on who should be the leader of our country coming up. Maybe some of you don't even discuss these things with your children or your grandchildren. I've been discussing politics with my older grandchildren, who are soon to be 17 and 19, since they were small children. And believe it or not, they had an opinion. Fortunately, my grandson, who expresses his opinion, he was on my side. So I'm proud of that. But it would be a good lesson for your kids. So invite them in, curl up on the sofa, or if you're like me and you get excited, stand up, talk to them, because I talk to the news people all day long when I'm watching, and I try to tell them what to say. Sometimes they say it, sometimes they don't. So that's what's happening today. And it will be fun. Maybe you want to watch party with some of the people that belong to the political club that you belong to, have a little potluck or something, and it will be an interesting time. It will be interesting to see how they both handle themselves, and it will be interesting to see what they will talk about with policies and the things that are bothering us, common people, like inflation, like the wars, the impending wars, and things like that. So let's hope that the moderators give them good questions to debate, and tune in. Now, if you're a CNN fan, you can see the debate at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. West Coast Pacific time, and all on across the country in the different time zones. But maybe some of you don't know that if you don't subscribe to CNN or you don't want to tune in to CNN, it is being simulcast. That means at the same time, if you don't understand this kind of lingo, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So you can see it on Fox or CNN. And as far as I know, those are the only two places you can see it. So definitely check it out, set it up, and tune in with all of us. You can shoot me any of your comments over on my Judith Mancini Today business page if you'd like to. Okay. So, excuse me, the allergies are getting to me. Time is on my side. Yes, it is. But, or is it? Plus some other things that cause me stress. Well, I just told you a couple of them, so we can skip that part. But I want to talk about time. You know, time makes a lot of people stressed out. Whether you have too much of it on your hands and you don't know what to do with yourself, or whether you have very little time on your hands and you can't fit everything in to your schedule that you want to do. So we're talking about that today. Now, you know, there's different times in your life when you have different schedules. I'm going to concentrate on the time after you've finished in the work world, the business world, the teaching world, raising children world, all of that. We're going to talk about what you do when you retire and how much time you have. Do you have any extra time? What do you want to do with it? Well, I can only talk about myself, but I've done some research with some other people I've asked questions of, and I think there's such a difference of opinion. Some people look at retirement, and I'm using retirement as a general word to cover a lot of things when you reach your 60s and 70s, 50s, if you retire early, what have you. Pardon me, I'm so sorry. It's just this sand coming into the house. First, you know, it's different when you're raising kids and you might be a working mother or a single mother. And I'm basically talking to the women that are listening to me now. But you husbands might understand your wives a little better or your partners a little better if you're listening to all of this. Good grief. I have my security on here and they just told me I'm being hacked everywhere. Which reminds me, before we get into time, here's a hint. I have had two banks, allegedly banks, call me. Now, both of these women sounded like they were from somewhere in the Caribbean. I asked them to repeat the name of the bank because I couldn't understand what they were saying. And they were getting audibly upset. So I hung up. Then they called. They must have called me a half a dozen times. And I should not have answered. But what startled me was they had the last four numbers of my Social Security card. And they purportedly were from a bank, well known, Wells Fargo. Well, I don't bank with Wells Fargo. I don't have checking with them, saving with them, investing with them, nothing with Wells Fargo. So I knew it was a scam and I hung up. Why they didn't call me back was I said I was recording the call. So I don't know what happened with all of that. Then I got on my messages and in my email, one from my bank, US Bank is my bank. And I'm not going to give you my Social Security numbers. And also from a couple of credit cards saying that the scams out there are unbelievable. If you don't recognize the number, don't answer it. But here's a problem with that. If you're in business and you have people calling you, you don't necessarily have that number. So let it go to voicemail and then you can check it out. So I've been pretty careful about that, but I have been hacked twice and I had to redo my credit cards and my checking account and my savings account and my investment account and all of that. And believe me, it also involves, if you're taking your Social Security, changing your Social Security deposits and all of that. Well, at my age, 77, it's time to be taking our Social Security. How they got those last four numbers, I will not ever know. But I would suspect, and I will be reporting to the bank, I suspect somehow they got into my bank account. Now, that happened once before. And the bank strengthened their security. So you must be very careful and don't fall for the age-old now scam of your grandchildren are traveling through the summer through Europe or South Africa or someplace like that, and they're stranded and they need money. Please wire it immediately. Don't fall for that. Before you do anything, you call the parents or you call the grandchild. This is a huge scam, and I've had two girlfriends be victims to it. So that's my little extra for you today. Now let's get back to time before I run out of it. Okay, so it's different in different periods of your life. Time management can be for the person who's working in business and they're still trying to keep a house, a home, take care of their spouse, their partner, and take care of children if they're children or teenagers or whatever happen to be in the house. You have to basically, as a woman, or if you're a single man, you have to have a schedule to work off, or you'll never find time for yourself. You'll never find time to complete all your tasks. It's daunting, very daunting. So the first thing you want to do is you sit down, and I often say this, you sit down and you can have a piece of paper, you can have a journal, you can have a calendar with time slots on it, or you can just take that piece of paper you have and you can block off 8 to 9, I will do this. 9 to 10, I will do this. I will take a break between 9 and 10. All of those things can go on it. My daughter the other day said, Mom, you've been so stressed from the move and this and that, and putting more things into your business, more little things that you will have to do and expanding it. You need to schedule some time off. And it doesn't have to be 2 or 3 hours or a day or anything like that. She said, put on your calendar every day at 9 o'clock. Go swimming. We have beautiful pools here. And she knows I love to swim for exercise and I love to be out in the nice, cool air. Now, maybe you don't have a swimming pool. The important thing is to block the time, which I'm very bad at. I'm very bad at blocking time for myself. And I have a full schedule. And since we moved, I'm still unpacking boxes. And this falls to me because my husband isn't feeling especially hearty and healthy. So I have been doing everything. Excuse me, I shouldn't make it sound like he's an invalid. He's not. And come to think of it, and all the times we've moved, he's never unpacked a box. So I should be able to handle it. But I'm getting older, so I need some time to myself. I need some self-care time. So I'm putting that on my calendar to go out to that pool, walk around the complex before I go to the pool, jump into it, swim a few laps, get out, enjoy the sun. Don't forget your sunscreen, and take some time for myself. But going back to your schedule, how do you need to have some things in your mind? How do you want to spend your time? You've been volunteering or working or teaching your kids, whatever you've been doing for the last years of your lives. You probably started right out of college or right out of high school, whatever. You've been taking care of others, whether you realize it or not. Well, I'm not talking about runaways here who live on the street and things like that, although I would certainly love to help them all. What I'm talking about is people like us. Okay. What do I do with my time now? My time before was filled with running my publishing company. And then I got into podcasting. Then I developed a skincare line and sold my publishing company, sold the skincare company, and I just kept the podcasting. And I've been doing that now for 10 years. So I have had to learn how to schedule my time. Now we do our podcasting remotely, so it's a little easier. I don't have to drive across town to a studio. So that gives me a half an hour extra to get ready. I don't have to get ready at 4 in the morning so I can get to Hollywood to the studio. Much easier. Okay, volunteering is something that I have done all my life, and I don't know that any of you know that I used to work with little kids through one of my charities, and they were mostly from the Latino or whatever you're supposed to call them. I call them Latinos with a Mexican heritage. Um, and I don't mean any disrespect. I love them, and I'm living in a place that is mostly where the Mexican population in the desert live and enjoying it thoroughly. So I volunteered with these little kids, and we would give them new wardrobes and things like that so they could go to school. And it was devastating to me to find out that most of these kids came in there to try their clothes on and they didn't have any underwear. There is really, really a challenge going on in our country to help these homeless people of any ethnicity. They need to be well protected. But most of them didn't speak any English, so I was happy that I could speak just enough Spanish to communicate with these little children, and it made my heart go pitter patter. I love children, and I love helping them. So maybe you want to do something instead of volunteering because you've done it all your life. Maybe you want to change the organizations you belong to. I've been active for years in ARCS, which is Academic Rewards for College Scientists, and we give grants to postgraduate students to some of the top universities in Southern California. This is a group that was founded in Los Angeles, and it's very dear to my heart. I'm still in that organization, but I have gone to associate membership because I've moved. I can't get to the meetings easily, but I can still participate in the things like the benefits and the galas. And sometimes they have speakers at the meetings, and I can drive up to Los Angeles. It is like a 4-hour trip, so it's a little more difficult. And maybe some of you want to travel. Maybe because you've been working and raising kids and doing all of those things, maybe now you've put a little money aside and you want to travel because you didn't get to do as much of it as you wanted to. And there's things that are in your so-called bucket list that you want to go see. I urge you to look at your own country. Yes, I've been very fortunate. I've traveled in a lot of places around the world, and I love to travel. I guess maybe that was one reason I became a stewardess pretty soon out of high school. Well, a couple of years later. So maybe you want to find time to travel. And there are wonderful senior trips out there where you can meet other people if you have to travel by yourself, or go with a girlfriend or a boyfriend or couples, whatever you want to do. But I urge you to go see your own country. You know, the skies are crowded in the summer. That's when everybody goes traveling. They go traveling to Europe. Why everybody goes to Europe is because the kids are off of school and the people, the mom and dad, can take time off from their work to go for the 2-week vacation someplace. But why don't you get in that car and travel our country? How many of your grandchildren have ever seen the Grand Canyon? When I was little and my grandmother was raising me and my brother, she was a great one for jumping into the car and saying, "Okay, we're going to the Grand Canyon today." Well, you can't go for one day from California. So you go, you drive, you find a little motel. It was a lot easier back in the day. Or you stay in the lodge, or you go camping. There are camping areas there now. You have to make a reservation. Do that because there's a much larger population who likes to do those things. Just period. There's a much larger population than when I was growing up and being able to do these things. Go to South Dakota, see the carvings of the presidents. Go learn about the Native Americans who were here in the country. Learn about their different tribes. There's not just one tribe of Cherokees, there's Blackfeet, there's Apaches, there's Navajos, and many of them still live on the reservations and they make beautiful pottery. And I started collecting that. I also collected pottery from Mexico. Those kind of things teach your children things, and you should make time for it. Or maybe you're more into having a getaway trip with your girlfriends and you want to go to some wonderful spa in the country. Try to go out of your normal area. Like if I wanted to go to a spa, I'm not exactly a spa person, but if I wanted to go to a really great spa, I would go to one that's in Arizona or someplace like that, someplace back on the East Coast. You know, some of these spas have expanded their places where they are operating. And so you could get an East Coast experience one summer and a West Coast experience the next summer, or any time during the year, since now you're kind of in the retirement mode. So let's see. Oh, okay. Now, one thing that takes up people's time at this point of our lives is being a caregiver for your spouse or your aging parents, or maybe a special needs child. That doesn't go away with your outside business or anything else. And you still need to find time for yourself, and you need to find time for them, and you need to find time to de stress because any of this is stressful. So maybe you're taking care of a neighbor you don't know, or just one of your friends. This is a time of our life when we find that we volunteer for different things than the organized volunteering at the different foundations and charities and all. So it's all rewarding, but you must schedule some free time for yourself. So, free time for yourself, we want to talk about now. I can't believe the time is going so fast. This is what your day may look like. Maybe you want to take notes on this, and then you can go to your calendar, your diary, a piece of paper. You know, there are templates on the internet that will help you break this down, or there are calendars that break it down. The whole calendar is on 2 pages, then you turn it over, and then you have a daily calendar going through, and then you have notes on the side. There's some that state what are your goals for this week, what are your goals overall for the rest of the year, what are your goals for the rest of your life. People are prone to call them bucket list things, but they're not all like going off and seeing the Grand Canyon or Niagara Falls, something like that. It might be writing your memoir. How about that? Or writing a murder mystery. How about that? Or composing music. Now you're going to have to tune in because I have somebody who's been on my show before who wrote tongue-in-cheek cop novels. He's a former policeman. He has now turned to composing music, and it's patriotic music. And I'm going to try to get him on the show because he's so creative and wonderful. So That's what he's doing with he has found he has extra time. He's retired from the police department for several years. So you might want to do that. The first thing you want to do in this page or diary or journal is have the attitude of gratitude. Be grateful. You know, not everybody is blessed to live to be 77, 78, 80, 66. I know that's shocking to you, but you are one of the chosen people that has it in you to do good things in the world still. And that's one of the reasons you're here because of your good health. You take care of yourself and you can take care of other people and enjoy it and have a wonderful life. But be sure to thank the right people for your hearing, your eyes, your speaking, your health, your ticker that keeps going. Be grateful. All right. Then I think you should go, and this is not your hour by hour schedule, but these are the things you should complete during the day. And you'd be surprised you're not going to have that much extra time, but I want you to use the extra time wisely. Be sure you get outside and take a walk, smell the fresh air, look at the sun. I know it's raining in a lot of places, it's too hot in a lot of places, but the sun comes up. Sorry, those allergies. The sun comes up very early. So here in the desert, you will see people out walking at 5 in the morning. And it's really safe here. So you don't need to worry about walking through downtown buildings that are kind of scary or something, alleyways and things. You can get out and walk in your neighborhood, what have you, before it gets to be 112 degrees. It's not exactly cool. It could be 85 or 90, but you want to get the sun. The sun is full of good things like vitamin D from the sun. You put your sunscreen on and all, you're still getting that, and you're getting the fresh air, and you're getting exercise for everything else that works in your body, particularly your mind. This is really important. If you are still working at this age, or you're a caretaker, or have some other thing that is not only physically but mentally stressful, it's very important to get out and pray or meditate while you're taking these walks. You don't have to go for miles and miles. Everybody says try to get those 10,000 steps in, but if you can't even get that, don't worry about it. It's just important. Go out and be in the fresh air and the sun for a minimum of 15 minutes. A minimum of 15 minutes. Build up every day. I think once you start doing that, it will improve your balance. It will improve your respiratory system, probably your heart, unless you have something wrong with it. And then for anything you do, check with your doctor before you do it at this age. It's very important to have a good doctor just to check out all your systems. And of course, if you have any problems, you definitely need to see a doctor. All right, so after you do that, maybe you are into exercise. So after you take that little walk up to warm up, maybe you go to a gym and you work out there. Maybe that's what you like to do. Maybe you like to do yoga. No telling what you like to do. Try a combination of everything and see what turns you on. You're going to be happier. Be sure you schedule some time for socializing. Now, I know a lot of people, I have lived all over the country, and I've been very fortunate in places like Pittsburgh, Texas. I have friends all over the country. So as I'm living in Los Angeles, and where I went to school in Gardena High School, and where I just grew up there, and then as I married and moved to different places, I have just made friends all over. I don't count the friends I have. I don't know how many friends I have, but I do know that I just made 2 really wonderful friends through one through mutual people on Facebook, if you can believe it, and we're very good friends now. And another one from one of the organizations that we both belong to, and we have both since quit. But these have become really close friends of mine, these two new people. And then people want to know why we moved to Palm Springs. Well, it was getting stupid paying rent, and so we wanted to buy something. I mean, we've owned lots of houses, and we couldn't decide where we wanted to settle. So our last place was in Calabasas, where my son and his family were and his kids, so we could be close there. We tried to go to Santa Barbara, but we're outpriced. I don't want another $2 million house or more. I don't want a large house. There's two of us here, and I like little cozy places. So we started looking in Palm Springs because I wasn't willing to pay millions of dollars for a house, particularly as the interest rates go up. So we came to Palm Springs. Now people said, but you won't have any friends, and it's hard to make friends at this age. Well, you know what? I have a minimum, and I'm not even sure, I probably have more. 12 girlfriends, all really good, close girlfriends that had already moved to the desert and spend the winter here. And a lot of them are becoming full-time residents. Can you believe it? I'm coming down here for some solitude after losing my son, coming down with my husband and thinking I'm going to have lots of free time to write my book and do my podcasts and do these other things. But I have all these girlfriends down there. It's amazing to me. Well, that's the exodus from Los Angeles area and even the fine areas in Los Angeles. I'm telling you, this government is bad. The crime level is just surging, and that was one reason we moved down here. And other than the wind blowing the sand and dust around, it's clean, no pollution. It's hot. But what's the matter with hot weather? You can go inside, you can sit under a tree. Excuse me. So think about that move and what you want to do. Oh, when I was talking about my friends, when we were brownies and Girl Scouts, we used to sing this little song that was make new friends, make new friends. Some are silver and the other gold, it went on to say. Well, I consider all my friends gold. Those are the ones I see frequently. And even though I have made an effort not to get social down here in the desert right now because I'm still trying to heal myself from losing my son, I consider all of them gold. They were all there for me when this happened. And we're all there for each other when anything happens. So those are the golden ones. And the silver ones are the ones you don't see so much, you don't talk to so much. I'm an exception to that rule, or anybody who's gone through a horrible family trauma or any other kind of trauma needs a little time to heal. So that's going on. So your energy is high in the morning, and that's why I want you on your schedule here to decide what you want to do, and you might have to slow down or actually speed up to get that extra time for you. What you need to do every day to find this extra time for yourself and slow down. And as we grow older, we figure out that it's not too cool to be late wherever you're going. So you want to always be on time. And that means scheduling your day. Now, I don't mean, oh gosh, if you don't get up by 7 o'clock every day, you're sloughing off everything. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about figuring out to schedule different things. And they could be busy things like getting your hair done, going to the dentist, going to the doctor, You need to have priorities of what you schedule in the morning. Take your usual morning routine of the little walk, the exercise, eating a healthy breakfast, getting your protein, taking your vitamins and supplements, whatever you're doing, getting dressed, putting on your makeup. Be sure then to take the calls that are the most important to you and get them out of the way. At this point of our lives, we have to schedule a lot of things. We can't just be dropping in and doing this. You need to be healthy. You need to have at least once a year at this age a physical exam. And there are other tests you need to take. You need your blood work, your lab work done. Your blood and your urine are earmarks of things that could be wrong with you. Your doctor will tell you if you need any other tests. Now, my husband's, I hope he's not listening today. He's a smoker and he's never going to give it up. He promised me when we got married, but he didn't do it. Okay. He doesn't smoke around me, he smokes outside. But here's the thing, he needs to have some other tests because, excuse me, he needs to have tests for his heart because he's had a bypass 28 years ago. He needs to have a lung exam. So far, they've always been clear. Everybody at our age should have a hearing test and an eye exam because whether you know it or not, there's a lot of different reasons why you might not be hearing well. Maybe you're getting earwax built up in it. As we age, your ears and your body changes. So sometimes you just need the earwax taken out. Sometimes you need these brand new little tiny hearing aids that are barely even visible. But boy, I'm sure that they just really, everybody who wears them tells me they can hear everything now. So that's wonderful. There's things to be done to your eyes when you're a little younger that will help you with your vision. My vision for reading is not as good as it used to be. So that's why I wear my glasses so I can see my notes sometimes. But I had LASIK surgery done when I was 50. It was right after I got married to Lou. So I had LASIK surgery done. I wasn't tolerating my contacts very well. So I went and did that. And it helped me a lot. Now, you notice that my eyebrows are different? That wasn't from the LASIK. That was from a bad injection of Botox, right? Oops, right here. Well, actually, the Botox was there. So every time I don't get Botox, and I just made a decision I'm not going to get it anymore, I have some wrinkles up here. I think at 77, I'm allowed to have a couple of wrinkles. I got it into my head that I was so exhausted after moving that I didn't want any kind of poisons or toxins in my body. So I kind of did a cleanse, my kind of cleanse, and ate healthy and didn't do any Botox anymore. So you're looking at my wrinkles now. Yes, I colored my hair. Okay, so what I want you to do is reclaim that time so that you can do something for yourself. You know, when you have friends across the country, you can do two things. You can call them on the phone, you can email them, you can chat with them, you can send messages with them, you can text them, you can go see them, or they can come see you. I have a girlfriend coming to visit me, and I don't even have a room for her to stay in. That's how small a condo we got, because that's what I wanted. So she's coming in September. And we met in Los Angeles, and we've been friends for over 30 years. And we've probably seen each other in person less than a dozen times. But we have always stayed in communication. We always remember each other's birthday. She's come to visit me a couple times because she moved from Los Angeles to Texas. So there's no excuses not to keep up with your friends. So do that. Take a time out for yourself. take a time out to schedule what you need to do. You need to do your grocery shopping. You need to plan your meals. And when you're cooking for one person, it's extremely hard. And you might make the excuse, well, I don't want to buy a rack of lamb. I love lamb chops, but I don't want to buy that. Even if you have two people, maybe you don't want to buy one, but you love lamb or you love fish. I'll tell you about the best place to get your fish, but do what I do. Get a nice big rack of lamb and then either have the butcher cut it into serving sizes that you want or do it yourself. Most stores like Gelson's, the upper echelon grocery stores, they have butchers in them, but now some of the other stores are putting butchers back in. They don't just have the meat counters with the pre-wrapped food, the beef and the lamb and the chicken and what have you, and then you have the ground beef and all of that. They're actually putting in butcher places like it used to be in the olden days. So plan that out and you can do it for yourself if you're only eating by yourself. Have that done. And then you want to find your time wasters and cut them out. What do you think? Probably scrolling on Facebook or the internet or something else is wasting a lot of your time. Now, if you're on it because you need it for business, that's a different reason. I do spend some time on those social media sites because I need to know what to talk to you about. So I do that, but I don't do it just for entertainment. You can do it for entertainment, but limit a little bit, okay? Don't spend 10 hours a day on it. You can consolidate some of your things, like if you have to do your emails, I still do emails for business. I do it with some of my girlfriends I can't get together with, and I can't get time for a call because the girlfriend is somewhere else and she has her schedule. So I will use an email or text or something like that. I don't have any meetings to go to anymore. I am just getting ready to sign my husband and myself up for volunteering into some veterans associations because we want to help the vets now. I think there's a need for that. I don't just mean monetarily. We support a lot of things monetarily, but I'm talking about hands-on loneliness. And there is a veterans home right by us that is just absolutely lovely. Just built by some generous person here in the desert. And it's gorgeous. So I thought I'd start there and see, because it's so close, see what we might be able to do. Maybe they'd like to play cards. Maybe they'd like to hear somebody read to them. Who knows? Maybe they'd just like to have a chat. So we're going to check that out, and I'm going to become more active politically. And who knows, I might start my own foundation. I'm not too old to do that yet. I can do that. So think about that. Learn to say no to people who want you to do something that you're truly not interested in. Just tell them, no, I'm sorry, that's not up my alley. But I wish you luck, and I'll be happy to give you a small donation because everybody will start hitting you up for donations. And this is the time, unless you're a mega millionaire, because I don't think the million cuts it anymore. You need to conserve your money. Cut out any kind of distractions when you're trying to do the actual work you're doing. So when you're setting up your schedule and thinking about that, or when you want to write 5 or 6 paragraphs of your book until you get that next good thought going, don't answer the phone. Don't look at the internet unless you're doing research, something like that. Cut out those distractions. And don't forget to take a lunch break if you're working on something like your masterpiece of book. Okay? You have to eat, and you have to eat healthy. Now, a lot of you have asked me, should you take Ozempic to lose some weight? Are you kidding me? I'm just trying to go to a new doctor. I don't take any pills. I take a thyroid pill and I take vitamins. That's me. You do what's good for you, but I would stay away from dangerous diet things. It's it's dangerous at our age. Not the thing to do. I think it's dangerous at any age, but I'm talking about us at this age. And you know what? If I don't stop talking to you, I'm going to lose you because my show will end and Jose will just cut me off. So remember, your time is yours and it's valuable to you now, particularly after retirement and other things that you want to add to your schedule you've never had time for before. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Don't you forget to watch that debate tonight and look and see how SCOTUS decided all of their very important cases now. So as I leave you and get ready for the debate, oh, it's just my husband and me, but I need to have plenty of room to stand up and cheer or go boo. So get ready for the debate. Don't miss it. And remember, if your teens are home, have them sit down with you and learn about democracy and debating and what your country is, and then ask them. And if they are opposed to your choice, or they don't like your choice, or you don't like their choice, this is a free country with free speech and the freedom to vote. Now, don't forget, they can vote at 18. They should have been registered by now. But encourage them to do this because this is the only way we're going to keep a democracy. All right, sending love to you all. Remember, cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today. Bye-bye, everyone.